All right, so we just got back from Cars at the Point. We were able to take home best paint, so I'm super happy about that. With that being said, I did promise we're going to go ahead and be installing some more carbon fiber today. So we're going to go ahead and be installing this beautiful carbon fiber spoiler back here. So as you guys go ahead and see, the carbon fiber spoiler is right here, actually in this box that it came with. We had to open it up just to make sure there was no damage. With that being said, we also have the brackets and everything else we're going to need right here for the install. So coming to the actual Dark Horse right here and popping the trunk, you can go ahead and see, obviously we have the Dark Horse spoiler on here. So it is actually going to include the bolts right here. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm about to find out if there's bolts right here, but for sure one on that side. And that's actually going to go ahead and be the 10 mils that are in here. And because we're actually dealing with the Dark Horse spoiler, it's pretty much going to include having to take off this whole plastic piece right here. So this is actually part of the trunk itself, but this is actually a plastic piece that you go ahead and see is attached. So we're going to go ahead and actually have to pull that off, which includes having to get all this stuff out of the way as well. So that way we get behind here and just remove that plastic piece. So for the people that are going to go ahead and be installing this one, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that as well, because obviously we're going to be taking this one off. So with that being said, you're just going to go basically do everything we do in reverse. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start exposing some of this hardware. So first things first, we're actually going to go ahead and need to expose the actual bolts here. So a little trim plastic piece, honestly, just to go ahead and get underneath there, scoot it out, and kind of just basically end up pulling it through. Makes it super easy rather than just trying to fight with it and pull it. So you go ahead and see there's the first 10 right here, as well as on the other side. And then to remove all this other trim here, honestly, just having the plastic remover tools is going to go ahead and be the best bet. It makes it super easy just to pull them out. All right, so after you remove this 10 right here, and this 10, there's also going to be another 10 right up in there, another 10 in there, this one as well, and then these two right here, same thing, those holes. All right, so now with all the 10s off, we're gonna go ahead and start removing these 7mm right here. Oh, there you go. All right, so that should pretty much be all the bolts to actually start taking this piece off. You go ahead and see just from the edge over here that the plastic is pretty much just held on by 3M. So the last part is actually going to be to disconnect the camera. All right, so with the actual bezel off here, you go ahead and see they actually forgot to take off the 3M on this section. So it's actually pretty funny. So thankfully they did, because that would have been so much more 3M to try to rip off. All right, so we're already playing with some of the hardware here. So it looks like these right here are going to go ahead and be for the side. You go ahead and see the holes are pre-drilled already. And then it looks like that's actually going to go ahead and hold on the carbon piece right here. And then we also have some more bolts with some more nuts. And then we also have these little pieces right here. Okay, you go ahead and see we have 4 more that actually hold on the first piece. This piece is right here, which you go ahead and see kind of how the bracket is set up. So that way, if you guys have any questions. But it's pretty much some more of these right here without the washer itself. And we have our wrench right there, which is going to go ahead and allow us to tighten it down while we hold this piece right there. So the car is actually going to go ahead and just rest like this, because we are going to be going to SEMA literally tomorrow. So we're flying out tomorrow. So unfortunately, it's going to go ahead and sit right here like this. Not a big deal. Looks a little weird. Looks a little crazy. I'm actually just going to go ahead and back it in, so that way this part just isn't sticking out. So we're going to go ahead and take a pause, and I'll catch you guys in 5 seconds for you guys, and it's going to be about a week for me. All right, so walking back to the Dark Horse here, you go ahead and see we finally got the spoiler completely off. Now, that actually took a lot of goo gone, because Ford was not playing around with a 3M on these things, man. So we did actually take off a piece of the stock one. You go ahead and see right there, because we were actually looking about the holes and figuring out how to do the studs when it comes to the new carbon fiber one. So what it looks like from the people that have already tried doing this, they ended up using this hole here, and then this hole is not actually reused. They end up just leaving it. And then they end up having to do one hole here and then another hole into the actual top of the trunk. The issue with that is because we already have a Dark Horse that came with the Dark Horse spoiler, that this big old piece is missing right here, and that will actually show. That and the hole itself. So you could do a few things if you're in this predicament. If you had a car without any holes, you have nothing to worry about. You're just going to drill your own holes. But if you do have a car that did come with actually pre-drilled holes, there's 2 solutions that you go ahead and do. Leave it that way, or you get a full Decklid replacement. Now, you're talking about a full Decklid replacement, you could just get an OEM one, you could get an aftermarket one, you could even get a carbon fiber one. However, regardless, whatever way you end up going, you're going to go ahead and have to drill some new holes. The other thing is, because these are actually not designed for the 2024s yet, you have to actually go ahead and sand them down in order for them to fit flush. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. And because it actually has these 3 holes there, this carbon fiber piece will actually go ahead and be covering that. So this is just a whole carbon fiber chunk right here that literally just goes into there. It covers that. However, if you are going to go ahead and go with the full replacement, you can, like I said, get a full carbon Decklid piece now. And looking at the bracket itself, it comes with 3 studs. So you have 1 stud up here, 1 stud in the middle, and then 1 stud over here in the lower one. This lower one is the one that is the hole that we were talking about, the one that looks like an oval. Alright, so after sanding this one for a little bit of time now, we'll go ahead and see the difference. So that one I haven't touched yet. This one obviously we have. So this is the hole, again, we're going to go ahead and be reusing. Putting it right there. And you can go ahead and see just from this angle how it's fitting. You go ahead and see it's not 100%. It's definitely not going to be 100%. We're doing this by hand. However, this side is the one we haven't touched. And like I said, you're definitely go ahead and have to do quite a bit of sanding until they come out with the bracket that's specifically for this vehicle. But you can literally see just how much play compared to this one over here. So work in progress. We're gonna go ahead and start doing this one now. So went ahead and actually install the carbon fiber piece that goes right down the middle here. And the next step is actually going to be drilled. But honestly, we have a lot of stuff going on here at the house, I ain't gonna lie. So it's been a kind of a task to try to work on this car while doing everything else. However, just to go ahead and show you guys, pretty much to get underneath here, you have to take off the camera, which is actually right here. So they're actually held on by a bunch of little screws that you actually have to go ahead and take off. With that being said, we finally got it off. We got the new carbon fiber piece installed here. So that should be good enough to actually go ahead and put this back on. This shouldn't have to come off anymore at all. And then the last part is actually go ahead and be drilling some holes to put in the brackets. All right, so it's actually been a couple days. It's actually been raining, so we actually had to take a pause. But we actually have the spoiler on the car now. You go ahead and actually see. I'll go ahead and just do a full walk around so that way you guys can see it from the front. And coming back to this side. Damn, this thing looks really, really good. I'm not going to lie. The full entire carbon fiber. So obviously, again, we have the carbon fiber centerpiece here as well as the carbon fiber fins. And we also have this carbon fiber centerpiece that covers the holes there. With that being said, if you guys actually are looking for a carbon fiber piece of this whole section of the Decklid, they actually do have some options for that. Now, definitely let me know what you guys are thinking, but I feel like this spoiler does go really well, especially when we have the GTD front over here. Now, looking to the back, it really does just match that whole theme that we have going on right now. Now, there's definitely something that we're still needing to match that theme, and that's going to go ahead and be in here. So definitely stay tuned for that because we do actually have something on the way. So I'm looking really forward to that. All right, so with that being said, I'm very happy on how this actually came out. Now, what I've seen actually, which is pretty crazy on the actual Super Snakes that came out for the 2024 models. With that being said, I think it looks really good on how it kind of just sticks out just a little bit. Now, it's actually pretty crazy on the Super Snakes of the S650 models. They actually have the duck lid, and then the actual track pack, they have a different bracket that sticks out a little bit more, but it's actually positioned a little bit higher. So that's actually something I am considering. But huge shout out to Muscle AutoZone for helping us out with everything, as well as Stream Online Store for giving us some other options. With that being said, I appreciate every single one of you. If you're not yet subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. So